Hello, welcome to NAFDAC and Your Health. My name is Tosin Omolaja. This is the program that brings you all the important information you need to know about NAFDAC. The agency saddled with the responsibility of safeguarding our health by ensuring that the foods, drugs, cosmetics, and medical equipment made available to us are safe and wholesome. On this edition of the program, we touch on the claims making rounds by a number of people who say they either have medicines that cure COVID-19 or that NAFDAC has approved their products, which they claim can cure COVID-19. So let's start by setting the record straight. The National Agency for Food and Drugs Administration and Control has not approved any medicine for the cure of the novel coronavirus.
During the pandemic, of course, we got the Madagascar herbal medicines, and all attention fell on herbal medicines in the country. And NAFDAC, for that 2020 period, we approved about 42 herbal medicine products. Some were immune boosters. Some were said to have some activity against the virus, not proven. It is not just COVID-19 pandemic that we are developing herbal medicines for. For prostate cancer, there are 2 or 3 products that some of our herbalists have that they said work for prostate cancer. Or for prostate condition, diabetes, sickle cell. I was working on a product before I joined NAFDAC on sickle cell, and it worked. My own niece has been using it for almost 18 years. She has 2 children. She's 40-something now. She has reduced episodes. But even that, I cannot claim scientifically that yes, but I know that it works until I have a relatively large number. We have done some, clinical trial to some extent, but we're going to continue to do that.
The agency, however, has done extensive work, even before the advent of COVID-19, to upscale our native herbal medicine sector.
It was like we knew there was going to be a pandemic. We started preparing at the agency level. We approved about 42 products, but we also, with the Herbal Medicine Product Committee, we also started training the herbal practitioners. We started training them on how to register their product. We also did so much during that 2020 that we never thought we could do. That is what the pandemic teaches, or taught. That was what it taught us. That when you are faced with a tight schedule and you have to do so much, you will find time to do it. We call it business continuity plan. That is also part of our quality management system. So we were able to write guidance. We made our website presence in terms of herbal medicine product registration much easier for consumers. But in terms of clinical efficacy, the government also came in through CBN to encourage herbal practitioners or researchers in the university to submit proposals. However, we know that many of our herbal practitioners are not at the university level type of, they don't do research at that level. Part of what we did in NAFDAC is to bring the herbalist and the researcher together, because there was a gulf between the herbal practitioner and the researchers, and there was lack of trust. So we brought them together. We developed a confidentiality agreement. They said if NAFDAC can midwife it, they will collaborate. But if NAFDAC is not going to midwife it, they will stay apart. So the confidentiality agreement we will sign, and the two entities will also sign, that they will value the information being given by the practitioner or that the researcher is also being given. We have to respect information. That is what's called intellectual property. So we taught them that. We brought patent attorneys to the different workshops to teach our herbalists and researchers on how to go about protecting their intellectual property. So we did all those training, and part of what resulted from this midwifing, the practitioner and the researcher, is we pay them up to apply for grants. We're still in that process, the CBN grants. We're still in the process because we want to also to be sure that the money will do what they said it can do, and that it is scientifically approached, because there is no use putting money into something that nobody is going to recognize, whether nationally, whether regionally, whether continentally or internationally. So we are right in the middle of that. So in terms of herbal medicines and where it's going, I believe herbal medicine is in the best position that it can be now. Part of what we also did is we made available a schematic, simple, good manufacturing setting or site that we will expect when we go there as a regulator to inspect. Because I want to be sure that we will help our practitioners or researchers to know to have the minimum, to meet the minimum criteria in terms of the site, the facility that they are using to make the medicines. So we are on this journey, and I believe that we're going to have products that will be fully developed, not just having listing status, that will be fully approved, that will also help our people.
According to Professor Adeyeye, all herbal medicines pass through two distinct stages of registration before final approval by the agency.
For NAFDAC, we have two stages to approval of herbal medicines. The first stage is called the listing stage, where we do the toxicity, the microbial content test, to ensure that if anybody drinks or takes, rather, the medicine, that person will not die. So it was the listing approval that we gave. The second stage is the clinical efficacy stage, which most herbal medicines that have been approved in NAFDAC have never gone through, because it involves use of human subjects. It costs a lot of money, and a lot of our herbal practitioners don't have that much money. And that is where the country can come in, by funding herbal medicine research, especially the clinical efficacy stage. For the COVID pandemic, unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of deaths, meaning, ours was not as serious as many countries. So it was difficult to use people, because you have to have subjects to test your product. But what we are now thinking of is, as a scientist, there's what is called N. N is a number of subjects that we're going to use. It must be statistically viable, meaning, okay, I want to test a product and I want to give it to 6 people. If 4 out of 6 are okay, that is not recognized statistically. Your N, your number must be large enough that there will be a higher level of confidence that if you repeat that and repeat that and repeat it, you can get the same thing. But if you get 4 out of 6, that's not 1/3 is failing. But you have to then expand it, So that is why what we are now thinking, that even if it is a small n, a smaller number, we will still be able to at least to prove that this is working in a well-designed research, on a well-designed research template, except that the n is very small.
NAFDAC, as a regulatory agency, ensures all herbal medicines are duly inspected and registered before granting approval for human consumption.
For herbal products, when we give a listing status, there is no evaluation of the claim, and as such, there are disclaimers as to claims provided on herbal products that are listed. So it's globally accepted, and even if you look in other countries, you will see herbal products, dietary supplements, food products that have those disclaimers that the claims have not been evaluated by NAFDAC in this sense or by any other regulatory agency, though we can provide that listing when we have some assurance as to some other parameters that we would use during our assessment to ensure that they do not cause relative harm, or they do not cause harm to patients. Now, if you want to move to full registration, then there are more stringent requirements, which will then allow you to make claims, clinical claim or a claim to cure. But with a listing status, you cannot claim to be efficacious. So whenever you pick a herbal product, look at the labeling on the product. You will see a clear disclaimer from NAFDAC that the claims have not been evaluated by NAFDAC, and not only for NAFDAC, even for other products that are licensed in other jurisdictions, you will see those disclaimers on those products. So this is not something that only NAFDAC does. It is a globally accepted way of allowing herbal products to be available, but still allowing the consuming public to be aware that there is no scientific evidence backing any claim, and so they have to be cautious and mindful of that.
We'll take a short break now. Don't go away. Welcome back. If you are just joining in, you're watching NAFDAC and your health. NAFDAC's role in the conduct of clinical trial ensures that the process is both scientifically sound and safe.
NAFDAC does not carry out clinical trials. NAFDAC is a regulatory body that oversees to the conduct of a clinical trial. And so when a party, a company, an institution, an individual is interested in carrying out a clinical trial, they make an application to NAFDAC that they want to carry out a clinical trial. These people or group of persons that want to initiate this trial are known as the sponsors. Now, the sponsor produces a protocol, all right, and picks a principal investigator who is going to oversee or conduct the trial, the study for him, okay? Now he submits his protocol to NAFDAC. NAFDAC reviews that protocol. We review it for the scientific rationale for the study and the product. If what they have submitted is satisfactory, we will approve it so that they can carry out the trial. Now, this trial is supposed to be conducted at a site, the trial site, all right? We are also responsible for the inspection of that site to make sure that the site complies with everything required for good clinical practice. Okay? And so they submit this protocol. And remember, or mind you, we are not the only group that reviews the protocol. The ethics committee, the research ethics committee of the hospital where they want to conduct the study must also approve this protocol, because the responsibility of the ethics committee is to protect the safety and well-being of these trial participants. All right? And so they give their opinion, okay, yes, this protocol is okay. And then when they bring this same protocol to NAFDAC, we look at it to review, as I said, the scientific rationale of the study and the product, as well as ensuring that, yes, there is adequate protection for the participant. So who is this participant? It is this person who has volunteered to participate in the trial. Now, the sponsor must put this person through all the informed consent process. They have to let them understand the benefits as well as the risk involved in participating. And if they feel that, okay, they will participate, they volunteer. However, they must meet the inclusion and exclusion criteria, for that study. You don't just say, oh, okay, fine, I'm interested, and then the people will, recruit you. You must meet an inclusion and exclusion criteria that are already indicated into this protocol. Before the trial starts, this sponsor is supposed to put all the people that have roles to play in the trial through a training. Everybody must have an assigned role before the trial is initiated, so that by the time this trial starts, everybody is doing what they are supposed to do, and they must comply. The study must comply with the requirements of good clinical practice, because it's an international document, it's a scientific process. There are no ambiguities about the process of, clinical trials. It's either you do it well or you don't do it at all. And so, like I said, our role is to make sure that the conduct of the trial follows scientific principles.
If you have a product you want to do clinical trial with NAFDAC, you go to the NAFDAC website, www.nafdac.gov.ng. When you open that website, it will take you to the home page. In the home page, you will see section of drugs and medical devices. Drugs and medical devices, you click that drugs and medical devices, will open to another sub-page where you see clinical trials and other divisions in drug and medical devices. Clinical trial is a division under drugs and medical devices section. So you see clinical trials. If you click clinical trials web page, you will see a list of, you will see guidelines, application forms, and other things. So my concern here, if you go to the application form, you click application form, it will open the NAFDAC clinical trial application form for you. So because we won't advise you to fill it there, we advise that you download this form into your computer. When you download the form into your computer in a Word format, you'll be able to input anything you want to input there. That is the moment you're going to complete this form based on the sections. And for you to make it for it to be easier for you to complete the form, you must have your protocol ready, because the information you're going to put in the form is going to be derived from the protocol. So you fill the protocol, fill the form based on your protocol. When you finish filling the form, you can now print into a hard copy. And because of the COVID-19 situation we are now, all application in NAFDAC is received via electronic means. there's a dedicated email where you can send application at this moment to NAFDAC. So when you do that, you attach other regulatory documents like any research information you have about your particular products, particularly the preclinical, the animal research, where we'll now tell us that the product is safe in use in animals. You've maybe using that, or if you have documented evidence of use, right, that shows that so you've been using this product since the time of your forefathers and the product has proven to be safe. So we need all this information as part of your submission, right? Then the people that are going to give you that information during your clinical trials, we call them participants or patients. So you must be able to put a safeguard in place whereby in case something happened to them, in case they get injured during your studies, your study can be able to take care of them. So that is why NAFDAC insists you must have an insurance for the participants or the patients. So when you submit all these things to us, evidence of ethical approval, your protocol, your insurance, your other data that shows that the product is safe in use, for use in humans, you pull them together and you submit to NAFDAC. Those are the major documents that you need to submit to NAFDAC. Then NAFDAC will sit back with his committee of experts to review your protocol. If there are queries or if there are areas whereby we don't understand, we need clarification from you, we'll send it to you as list of queries. If you respond and we're satisfied with your response, then we'll give you what we call authorization to conduct clinical trials. That is the approval. So we'll give you this approval to conduct clinical trials. You go ahead and conduct your clinical trials.
So another new innovation that NAFDAC has put in place, it's called NAFDAC ECTAP, which means NAFDAC Electronic Clinical Trial Platform. And that means that following the manual processes that NAFDAC has been regulating clinical trials, NAFDAC deemed it fit under the leadership of this current DG to be able to create a seamless platform whereby there will be easy communication between the applicants and NAFDAC. The moment they get to our website, when they are familiar with the guidelines and the documents that they are supposed to submit during the application, they can now go into the EC tab and open it. The moment you click and open it, you'll be asked to register. Register your presence through your email, then an automatic number is issued to you. That is the number you're going to use throughout the process of your registration or your clinical trial approval process. So as you submit all the necessary regulatory requirements and your protocol, it transmits directly to the agency. So every step of the process, the applicant will see what we are doing. So that is the component of transparency that this platform has afforded both regulators and the applicants. So at every stage, if there are queries that NAFDAC need to issue, immediately issue that query, it's going to be sent to you directly. You now address the queries online. You don't need to come to NAFDAC. Then the review time has also been already customized, which that means that there will be no time wastage. So the moment your application comes in, your time start reading. You, the applicant, you notice that your time the clock start rolling. So the clock can only be delayed when query has been sent to the applicant and the applicant delayed in responding to the queries. So that means that when queries are issued out, the clock stopped. So the maximum time NAFDAC set for clinical trial review process is 60 working days, except if the application is rejected. So when the applicant submits his application, NAFDAC, there's a process in the EC tab that will afford NAFDAC to screen this application to make sure that it has all the regulatory requirements.
COVID-19 is real. Please ensure you and your family follow safety measures as outlined by the NCDC. Stay away from crowded places as much as possible, and if you must be out there, please wear a face mask. Wash your hands regularly with soap and water, and ensure you use only NAFDAC-approved alcohol-based hand sanitizers. Taking the NAFDAC-approved COVID-19 vaccine is safe. It's our best bet of stamping out the deadly coronavirus. And don't forget to download the MedSafety app from iOS or Play Store to report any adverse reaction from the vaccine or any other medicine at all. See you next week. Stay safe.